Okay, folks, TGIF. Now it's TGIF, because now it's the end of the day. And what a work day it was. But now we get to do what we want to do. And no, that's not a beer, even though it should be. But if I had a beer, I'd just fall asleep, so what's the point? All right, so let's do something different. We are going to get to doing these 15s, but we need to do a couple of things to take care of stuff that's going on. First thing we're going to do is we're going to mix up some epoxy, and we're going to glue this sumbitch together, okay? Because this thing's bothered me enough, and that's first things first. We're not going to be able to proceed anything further on this T34 if we don't do that. So let's go ahead and get our two-part epoxy here. And while we wait for some folks to show up, all kinds of stuff here. We paint, we build, we glue, we epoxy. We talk about books. Got lots of books I could be doing book reviews on, but I'm not sure if there's a fine line between that and getting into trouble. I certainly don't want to take anybody's revenue that they're making off of books, because you know what that means, that they just won't make any more books. You know, it's like if you pirate people's music, they'll stop making music, which, you know, isn't really the way forward. Okay. We're going to mix this stuff up, let it set a little bit, and we're going to glue this sumbitch together, and then we're going to set it aside, and then we're going to start decaling these guys. So we're going to put the decals on one and see if that pisses me off or not, and we'll do the decals, and then we'll jump on the 15s. That's at least what the plan is. So we'll let this sit a little bit, because this thing has been extremely incorrigible, and we're going to leave it be. So do we want to go ahead and glue the road wheels while we're waiting on that? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then the front one and the back one. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. You know what? Let's not take off more and bite off more than we can chew. So, anywho, technically this is evening, so I shouldn't be working on 15s. I should be working on my World War II stuff. We'll see. We got these 4 little guys we got to do. These little Hungarian handgunners. And it shouldn't take long to paint them. I'd like to get them done by this weekend. We got the Bowman done last night. I don't know if you guys checked that out, but the Bowman got done. Hold on. World's worst multitasker here. No, we got these guys done. We'll take some pictures of them. They look like crap on video. 720 just doesn't do it, so. All right. Apply this, and I came close to just throwing this in the garbage can and moving on. But we'll see. Oh, we're going to set some more. I still might throw it away. You know, when you can put together a freaking war wagon that fits together really miserably, honestly, and it doesn't give you any trouble, and then something like this tank is just incorrigible, you know? It's kind of a little frustrating. You know, you're not expecting to have those kind of a problem. A lot of it is expectations. If you expect something to be a pain in the ass, and it is, no big deal. But if you expect something to be easy and it isn't, well, that's a little frustrating. I don't want to be negative about it, but you know, I can't expect everything to be a bitch. All right, we'll let this set for a little bit. It shouldn't take long. This is gap filling. This is heavy duty, and then we're not going to mess with this until in the morning or the afternoon or the evening tomorrow. Not going to paint one of the T34s until we've got them both done. So. Hold on to this for a second. Let's turn the fan on because there's literally no fan on right now. And that's, come on. That's unacceptable. Yes, today was not a cold day. Today was a wet day. It's been raining all day long, so. Come on. There we go. Okay. There we go. This section, the other problem it has is it's not totally straight. It has a little bit of a bend in it, which is kind of unusual for this kind of a piece. I know there's some pieces sometimes that have bends in them, but it's usually not this. You'll see that more often like resin pieces, like really poor quality resin stuff will sometimes have a bend in it, and you've got to put it in hot water to kind of bend it back. But and of course, I forgot to bring in rubber bands. I could have used those. I could have snatched a few rubber bands out of the million ones that we have at work, but I forget. I was in a hurry to get the hell out of there, so it was one of those that I needed to get out of there before something happened, and I was going to get stuck there for a while. So, okay. Just give this a little bit more TLC, and we should be good to go on this thing. I don't really talk about what I do for a living, and I'm not going to start. I'm not one of those people that is defined by their job, even though I've worked at the same place for 27 years, almost 27 years. I'm not defined by that, so it means I'm not a lawyer or a doctor. Oh, yeah, I don't like talking about work. I try to do as good a job as I can while I'm there, but I'll leave that behind me. I'm defined by this crap. Can't you tell? Okay, I think we're about good on that. I'm gonna leave that be and put all these little road wheels for later. And I don't know, maybe nobody will come on tonight because it's Friday night. People like to party. I never understood that. You know, I'm burned out on Fridays. So somebody came by, gave me a thumbs up, and left. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Okay. All right, so I've got my little water thing here. All right, and I've got my decals here for these Soviet decals. And I'm going to take a little quick glance on the internet and see if I can find a picture of a a GAZ 67B. I've always called it a GAZ. Maybe it's a GAZ. Maybe they pronounce just the letters. Oh, we got to take the volume off. We don't want every single notification that I get in to make that sound. Jeep GAZ 67B. Is that I've always called it a GAZ, but it might be a GAZ is what they call it, similar to the rifle that Commonwealth Forces used. It's called an FAL, not a FAL. So, I'm not really sure whether it's supposed to be a GAZ or a GAZ. So, I just call it a GAZ. So, it's just a Russian type Jeep, and I don't believe they came out until 1943. And here is a model of it with a little couple red stars here in the quarter panel. Okay, so none has it on. Oh, here's one that has it on the hood and on the quarter panel. All right, well, we can do both. We can do both. All right, let's start with the one on the hood, like I thought. All right, so let's make sure there's no epoxy floating around here somewhere, because we do not want this experience with the decals to be a negative one. And let's do the final adjustment, and let's get this the hell out of here, out of our work area, and get this epoxy the hell out of our work area, so we don't have a problem. All right, and we put little road wheels. Those happy little road wheels, we won't mess with them until later. All right, so here's our decals. So let's pick what we're gonna use, and this blade is damn near new, so we're gonna go with that. All right, so we've got this. I can't put one in the quarter panel here because it's got a little bag there, so we'll just have to have one on the hood. Okay, so we're gonna go with this medium-sized one. So let's go in here and we're just going to cut out the one that we need. Medium one is one of these right here. Okay, we're going to come in here. I haven't used water slide decals in every bit of 30 years. So, but this time we got all the products to do it right. I hope so. I read up on this stuff, so. All right. Now we're going to let's grab our tweezers. I really need to pick this area up in the morning. I just didn't want to spend the time to do that. We got to go visit Mr. Hobby Lobby tomorrow. Use a 40% off coupon. We're going to get a little set of tweezers. A tweezer set. All right, we're going to take this and we're going to drop it in the water. Okay. All right, then we're going to take micro weld. No, it's micro weld. I'm going to grab the micro set. Jeez, these are tight in here. Micro set and micro sol. I used to have some of this way back in the day, and I think it evaporated. And we're going to use a brush that we're going to use only for that. So let's grab us a new brush that's never been anything else done with it. I wonder if I can get away with using one of these square bladed ones, because I honestly don't have much of a use for them. All right, let's grab our micro set. And we're going to put some of this stuff. I'm going to go ahead and mix it. I don't know if it makes any difference, but as long as it's not carbonated or explosive, mix it up. That's right. I remember the smell of this stuff. This smells almost vinegar-like. All right, so we're going to put this stuff right here. All right, and then we're going to grab might have used too much water, but all right. grab this little guy. I'm supposed to be able to push this thing off, and I am. All right, let's grab this from here. Now, the only catch I see with this is I hope the fact that the background of this thing is green doesn't make... Why is this so difficult? Come on, folks. I'm used to doing all this detail stuff. People say, man, your painting is so difficult. No, it's not. It's freaking easy. Nothing ever goes wrong with painting. Come on, get the rest of the way on. Get on there, and then we'll move you around. There we go. See ya. All right, now let's straighten this little thing up. There we go. Okay. And then where's my little cotton thingy? I'm going to take some of this extra moisture off. Maybe I should have, this thing has so many bubbles, I should have used maybe some of the putty to fill in some of the bubbles. But I mean, this is an old kit. I just didn't feel like this thing deserved that kind of treatment. Sorry, folks, I just didn't think it did. So, I don't want to spend an inordinate amount of time on something that is really just a cheapy little thing. Yeah, this stuff smells like vinegar, lightly like vinegar. What's this one smell like? Ah, it's kind of inert. All right. Then I'm supposed to put this on top of it. All right. And this supposedly, let's not use too much of this. We'll dissolve it and make it look like it's painted on. I would have painted it on if it wouldn't have been, we'll leave that on there a few minutes. All right, let's close that. All right, let's, because we need to weather this joker tomorrow. Okay. Where's my soda? Liquid Motivation Light. All right. So over here, you know, we're gonna let this rest a little bit. We'll come back and do another decal if this one turns out okay. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's go ahead and get the painting thing. Hey, remember, that's what I do, paint, right? That's what we do, paint stuff. And let's go ahead and touch up any of this black that it might have gotten away with a primer. This guy's okay. Next one. I saw one of them that needed that kind of work. Okay, that one's good too. There's always going to be parts of the hobby you don't enjoy. I don't enjoy cleaning flash off figures. And apparently I don't enjoy building the models either. Now, it was okay. You know, I've built them before. The problem is I'm so used to, you know, gluing things and then they stay there and they don't move. Not this, I don't like plastic. So. I don't like plastic. So I know there's several people that have come up with figure manufacturers in 15 millimeter in plastic. They have reissued certain lines like the ones from Corvus Belli, and I want to say Plastic Soldier Company. It has the, it seems like the same damn molds. I want to say it's Plastic Soldier Company, but I won't be buying any of those because I don't like plastic figures. But maybe there's somebody out there that doesn't like lead figures. So options are good for the consumer. When the consumer has options, everybody wins. The free market is a wonderful thing. So, right, let's see how this guy's doing. Let's take the rest of this off. All right, we're going to leave that alone. All right, let's go back. Now, one of these guys, I didn't have to touch anything up. Actually, several of them. So that's who we're going to start with. So the first thing we're going to do is let's go ahead and do all the metal parts on it. So there's parts of this guy, like his helmet. He's got chainmail on, that kind of stuff. That's the stuff that we're going to mess with right now. We're going to go ahead and do that, and probably do that on all the 4 figures at once, because they have all those common things to them. It's all the same pose, so I'm going to do more than one figure at one time. Hold on to your seats. As everybody's always saying, man, you need to do this or you need to do that. I said, no, I've been painting for a long time. I've got my method. I know that what works for me, and I know what doesn't work for me. And what doesn't work for me is working on multiple figures at once, because what ends up happening is I may have a 2-hour painting session to do, and if I don't do one figure at a time, I have nothing to show for it. And it gets I get demotivated to finish stuff because I just spent 2 hours and didn't finish a figure. So that works for most people. It does not work for me. What's that new saying that every year there seems to be new sayings about stuff? And the one I keep hearing in 2021 is "you do you." I don't like that saying, but I see it all the time. Basically, mind your own business. You know, I don't try to convert anybody. If you're happy with the way you do things, by all means, keep doing them that way. I don't get a thrill out of controlling people. Never will. Okay. You do you. A funny hat. He's got like the eye holes through like the visor. Looks like that guy from Fat Albert. If you guys are my age, you know what I'm talking about. That's what this guy reminds me of, except his head covering was purple, I think, right? It was purple or pink or something like that. There you go, kicking it like it's 1981. All right, let's do another one of these. Let's go ahead and do all the helmets. TGIF, well, now it is. I get affected by the weather too much. It was all like dreary. It was the same time of day all day long, which of course means that you just get tired. You feel like you're living in the same hour all day long. And oh well, now it's over. I think I did some brainstorming today. I'm pretty sure what I'm going to do next after these guys, but I'm not going to tell you guys because then if I can change my mind, I don't have to explain myself. That's the other reason why we don't plan our Q&As. We kind of just did one because we had extra time, but I don't want to commit to, hey, we're going to do a Q&A at this time on this because, you know, if it doesn't happen, then we have to explain things to people. And I already have a job where I have to explain things to folks that don't listen. So I'm kind of like against that already. You know, I don't like to relive anything that I experienced while I'm being paid, especially if it's an ongoing type of issue. So there's just factors that are out of our control, you know. So that's why we don't announce really what we're going to do the following game day because a lot of it is dependent. You know, we may decide that we're going to do this because we're expecting 4 people and then 8 show up and then we do something different, or the opposite. We're expecting to do some big battle with 8 people and then 4 can't make it, and then we can no longer do that. So it is what it is. It happens, and it especially happens in this current environment of that's highly random. It's irregular. This irregular gaming environment. Saw an article today, which you know I didn't mean to. I try not to check the news because they're always trying to. They're playing the shell game. Well, they don't know. The problem is there's so many variables, and they don't really know what the thing is. But they won't flat out tell you they don't know. They act like they're all knowing. But this article claimed that you know we're not going to get back to normal for 7 years. Well, I got news for you. I'm not going to not play face to face for 7 years. That's not happening. So you know, this is. You guys may have other hobbies, but this is the only hobby I do. You know, and occasionally I play like war games on computer too, but this is all I do. I don't watch sports or none of that other stuff. So, you know, when they were going to cancel sports, I was like, you know, they were talking about doing that. I'm like, I don't care. I don't watch sports. You know, we used to watch the Olympics all the time, and now we don't even watch that. So, the Olympic coverage has been sorry lately. And I'll tell you, as an American, it's the reason I don't like it is because it seems like everything we see here is all focused on just the American athletes, and that's it. You know, and instead of just showing all the events like they used to do, it's all like little backstories of how they, you know, they how they grew up and stuff. I don't care about that. I want to see the competition or whatever, you know. But anyhow, so we don't even watch that. So handgunners. So I got a question. I know the end of these guys is going to be some kind of metallic. Is the staff also metallic or whatever? Let's see. Let's do a search for early handgunners and see what we come up with. Early hand. I'm still going to look it up anyways. Gunners, because this is about as early as they get. Hand cannon. I guess that would be an accurate description. Let's see what they got here. Nope, nope, none of that kind. Looks like there's wood on the end. Yep. All right. Cool. Cool. That'll work. That's probably what I would have done. Because if this whole thing was made of metal, it would be really, really, really heavy and really impractical. Not that that means that they may not do that anyways, but you know. Is it Vallejo paint? It is. Which one? The metal? No, the metal is Games Workshop. So I had, or it's Games Workshop, but the paint is now called Citadel again. I don't know. I called it Citadel for so many times. I think calling it Citadel was better. And then at some point, I just started calling it Games Workshop and forgot to call it Citadel. But the story behind this is I hate closing up things with paint and getting paint on me. It happens a lot when when you're doing these type of tops. You know, you're careful and you still end up getting some on you. And it's not that, you know, I need to be completely clean, but also, and I'm not used to making a mess, but you can transfer it to something else accidentally. And, you know, I don't want that to happen. And so the same thing was happening with these Citadel pots. They're like this style. Let me see if I can pull one of them here. Because they used to have this kind. Okay, and I still have my Mithril Silver is still the one from like 1989, 1988, 1989, something like that. I opened it up and I said, "Oh, it smells just like Reagan," because that's the vintage that it is. But this is the new paint pots things. But they, you know, you don't get a good seal on it because invariably you get paint on the edges. So I was looking at transferring it over, and I saw an article on YouTube, and the guy showed me how to do it, and you have to add some thinner to get it all out and everything, which got me to buy this $20 thing of this airbrush thinner to use it, and it ended up. You can see, look, it's still a freaking mess. Okay. And you still get paint everywhere. You still could get paint everywhere. So it was basically a waste. But what it did do is it got me to try this. And I'm like, well, I have this stuff. Let me start using this as thinner as I paint. And voila, that was a instant sell. So deciding that I didn't want to do one thing actually got me to try a different product. And I'm very happy with it. Now that airbrush thinner, I'll keep buying that, even though I don't have it open here like I always do. So let's get that open. Marcin Lysek, another Marcin. Excellent. Is it Marcin or Marcin? I don't want to say I don't say people's names wrong intentionally. Well, unless I hate them. And that's not the case between that's not the case for you. I don't like you. I'm going to say your name wrong. What? No. I don't dislike you. I got to get to know you first. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome. We're going to do a Nuln Oil little wash on this stuff before we're done with it. We'll let it dry a little bit, but all right. So let's. So this stuff's pretty amazing. So not only do I use it as a kind of a almost like re-wetting drops for the brush, so that the paint doesn't dry on the brush. It applies it a lot easier. But whatever this is made out of, and I'm not really sure, the paint doesn't really stick to it. And what I mean by that is, I could put paint in here and it doesn't mix. If this was water, you would end up getting cloudy water. But it's still pretty clear, and I've used this many times. And somebody out there gave me the idea of, and I don't know who it was, of using a contact lens case. And I'm like, nah, I don't need to use a contact lens case. And then I found an extra one that I had. I reordered contacts, and I got these weird looking. They're very different than all the other ones that I have. And I'm like, well, maybe I'll try that. And yeah, that was a good idea. So whoever you are, I know it was somebody that stopped by and gave me that idea. Thanks for the tip. Everybody has good ideas, just about everybody. So, wherever you are, make sure you tell your wife that you've had at least one good idea. And I've got to do one thing. I'll be right back. A phone call tried to come in, and I can't connect through here. So, hold on, folks. I'll be right back. All right, false alarm. Okay. But yeah, whoever came up with that idea, make sure you tell your wife, hey, Tony said I had one good idea. Oh, man. Everybody has good ideas. That's what this internet is really good for. You'll see something that, maybe it'll give you some ideas of doing something, and, we can learn from each other. Maybe you'll see something you don't like how somebody does, like, well, we'll never do that. You'll see a mistake somebody else does, like, well, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to build any of these plastic models. Tony's like really finicky and is really detail oriented, and he's struggling with these things. Aha, there you go. See? Speaking of which, is this son of a bitch glued together? Yep. Perfect. Okay. We'll mess with it tomorrow. Or maybe we'll glue the road wheels on there a little bit. We'll see. That's what the weekend's for, having no plans. There's another Marson that stops by. I believe he's Polish, but he lives in Ireland. I could be wrong. Nice guy. Okay, let's do. Let's go ahead and close this. Polish. Excellent. CI. Okay, sounds like Italian. Ciao. Marcin. Okay, that would be Marcin then. Ciao. Marcin Lysik. Cool. I was talking about Polish stuff yesterday. I got some decals for my Soviets, and they threw me some. This is the decal set that came in here, and they had some Polish markings. Like if you're going to do Russian tanks with, what do they call it? The Polish Liberation Army? We're not doing those, okay? If I'm building Polish tanks, it's going to be, the 1939 Polish, or when you guys fought in Spitfires. I'm not giving you any communist stuff, so. Yeah, they've got some figures in 20 millimeter that somebody was coming out recently for 1939 Polish, and there's several scenario books and stuff like that. And that might be kind of interesting to do that, because their equipment was actually pretty good. It was a lot better than the German stuff. They were just kind of, got hit from both ends, got backstabbed by the communists. But when we went to church frequently, the priest that we had locally was from Poland, and he was a treat to listen to. And anyhow, they moved him away, unfortunately. All right. And I've got some Polish winged hussars to do. So, and Mitch's favorite army is, I'd say, his favorite army is his early Poles. He probably likes them more than anybody else. I didn't build them because he already had them, but we like the Poles. All right, so we're going to put this on here. And this army can actually have Polish allies. And I've got some knights to do that. So we may just see that. There was a Hungarian king, at least one that was also the Polish king. And I think he died in battle. One of them did. I don't know. They shared rulers of both of those for several times. So we've got some Polish elements to do. Of course, I'm just assuming that you like Polish stuff. You could be like me, who is American and doesn't like American history. I mean, I really don't like American history, so I'd rather build Polish things. I don't do American Civil War or none of that stuff. I do play World War II. I don't like to play Americans. I already am American. Why would I want to play American? You know? So it's an opportunity of role playing. I'm not necessarily representative of most people. I think most people probably want to play who they are, but you know, in my case, I like to play outside the box, so to speak. I'm not sure, but in first Hitler's plan was ally with Poland and attack USSR. Yes, in 1444 was Polish, Hungarian, Lithuanian king. Yeah. Yep. All right. All right, so we got that part done. Now we're going to split off and just do these guys individually. All right, so we're going to go ahead and these are old minifix figures. These are castings that nobody would probably give a second look. I happen to like using old figures that don't have any love, as I like to say. And, you know, they paint up well. And this is, they're part of this Hungarian horde, so to speak, that we already have the whole army to do done. I mean, I could literally play them the way they are. I have 12 elements here. I don't know if I can get these guys in focus, but these guys are done. So I'm just looking for some options instead of these bowmen here. They can use, they can have some handgunners, and they'll actually have war wagons they can have in place of those as well. So anyhow, these are, I think they'll do okay in battle. All right. All right, so we've got flesh to do. We've got, so these guys have some kind of a tunic. And they have kind of a hood slash dicky type thing. So the tunic and the arms are going to be the same color. All right, so we're going to give this guy a white tunic, and we're going to do a red, like dicky around his, you know, it's kind of like a hood, like goes around his neck or whatever. It's similar to, I know I've painted some troops with this. Let me get my glasses so I can find myself. It is similar to, oh, I guess the other guys that I thought I had guys that had that on. Maybe I'm thinking these light horse guys. Yeah, they have kind of a hood on them. So, all right, that's what we're gonna do. Okay. So let's go grab some white, which we's probably dried out. I probably should replace this, but you know, I don't want to leave again. I got on to get some painting done and conversate with people. So that's what we're going to do. We can always change it out later. There's actually a Polish, you know, all of my World War II stuff is in 72nd scale or 20 millimeter. And there's a company that just came out. Well, they might have been out for a little bit, but I just saw them recently called First to Fight. I believe they're a Polish company, and they make all stuff from the invasion of Poland. So they make like Panzer, for the Germans, they make like Panzer ones. They make like Panzer threes that are like the really, really early type, which they didn't have very many. Panzer IVs, Panzer IIs. They might make Czech 38s as well. All like the early stuff. They make all the Polish equipment, including Polish trucks, all their tanks, TKS, tankettes, all that stuff. And that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool to make all that stuff. And of course, the Polish armored vehicles had, I think, really cool camouflage, three-color camouflage that they used in 1939. The German early vehicles are ugly as shit because at that point they didn't use the Balkenkreuz yet, with the, which is the, the little iron cross looking symbol with the, obviously it's straight edged with the black in the middle. It was just solid white, so it was almost like you were fighting the Swiss Army, and it's like gave them nice aiming points. But this Polish stuff was they make the whole thing. They make the whole shebang. All the trucks. They make like multiple different trucks, forever. It's called First to Fight, or at least that's what they are marketed as here in the States. All right, so we're gonna do white, but we're going to use this off-white to mix it first, and hopefully it's still alive. So we will see. Today's theme: Polish things. Yeah, that's cool. I just happened to, you reminded me of that. And also they make like the early German half tracks, which they didn't have very many of. The 251 A's, which are really kind of strange looking. They're not the typical look, but yeah, they make the whole shebang there. Pretty cool. Do I like this model scale? So before I did any ancients and medievals, all of my World War II stuff I do is skirmish. And I always did 20 millimeter because I came across these figures that I absolutely loved the posing. And in the late 90s, 15s really didn't take off, hadn't taken off for World War II yet. And every vehicle is basically available either in 72nd scale or 76 scale. So that was the scale to do in. So the figures I fell in love with was this sculptor called called Combat Miniatures, and a sculptor is no longer around anymore. His name is Dave Alsop, and he did all these, and I loved his sculpting styles. That's really kind of what sold me on that. Before that I had done micro armor and all that stuff, but for skirmish stuff, definitely a 20 millimeter. Well, the ancients and medieval is basically all 15 millimeter at that point, but I'm not one to do World War II and 15 millimeter, and because I'm not like a Flames of War type player. It's too. I want something with a little bit more meat than that. So right now I'm just kind of painting the vehicles to kind of fill the time in between stuff. I've had these for like 25 years and done nothing with them, so it's kind of invigorating to finally have them do something, and I'm enjoying the difference of being able to paint some vehicles. So we've got so by the end of the weekend we certainly should be able to see some vehicles complete on bases and everything. So, but these models I have here right now are really crummy. They're really not high quality, but I've had them a long time, and yeah, they're shiny because of the decals, but they'll be flat afterwards, unless I'm going to model my entire force like it just got out of a rainstorm. But right now, I'm not necessarily focused on building them for a particular scenario. I'm just I want to do all my Russian vehicles that I already have. And then, I'll probably do my Americans, and I'll leave the Germans for last because I'll have to decide which vehicles I'm going to do in Dunkelgelb and which ones I'm going to do in gray. And I don't want that decision right now. And everybody does German vehicles, so, enough of that. But that's at least what my plan is. But we're going to finish up this Hungarian army in 15 millimeter scale. And then we'll work on something else. So my idea is I'll be working on both things at the same time. So when I get tired of one thing, I'll move on to something else. Before doing these ancients, everything I did was World War II. So it was more focused on vehicles and equipment than it was like necessarily painting figures. Like I didn't paint a single horse until I painted my first BBA army in 2004. I never painted a single horse in my life. So, I mean, they're a piece of cake to do, but it's just a different kind of flesh, you know. But always been a big World War II fan. But I'm real particular about the rules I use because I needed a lot of detail. So when we stopped playing, the rules we were using was a rule set out of Canada called the Face of Battle, and they're out of print now. But if we do any World War II gaming, we'll probably be using that. And that came out about 2003 or something like that, that rule set. So I was pretty happy with them. But we needed a place to set up, leave it set up, because you're not getting through a lot of turns, and it's very detail oriented. And I mean, I like that sort of thing. So, and I'm a big fan of the Eastern Front because, like I like to say, is which bad guy do you want to play? And that makes it a lot easier. I'm American, so we look at everything through the lens of good guys and bad guys. You guys should know that. You guys that aren't Americans, you should know that. And those of you that are Americans know that as well. That's just how we that's how we operate, right or wrong. So, where is this color? I believe it's this one right here. So it's kind of nice. You can't make that choice when you're doing Eastern Front. So I kind of think like Patton in that regard. Crossing obstacles gaming. There you are again. I love your logo, by the way. That's really cool. Uh, the first to fight stuff is very nice. My first World War II army was 15 millimeter Polish. Cool. Seven. What are they? 7 TPs for the win. Those guys are. That's a good little tank. How long does it take to paint miniatures? You paint with 4 miniatures in the series or all one base? Sorry, so many questions. Oh, no need to apologize. Hey, you're entertaining me. I should thank you. I paint one figure at a time normally, but I will paint like at a base. So like if I'm painting knights, I'll like pull the 3 knights that go together and paint them and then base them and then move on to the next set. But I paint them one at a time. Yeah, no need to apologize. By all means, interact with me. I've expired when I'm just sometimes I'll run out of material and I figure nobody's listening to my monologue and I'll sign off. But I enjoy this. I actually do this for me to get things done. So the fact that some of you might find this interesting is, or you just have me in the background while you're working on your hobby, and that's what I do. I'll watch unboxings or something like that. There's there's several people that I follow, and I don't watch them very often because I'm usually making my own material to get stuff done. Because what happens is when I watch other people, what happens is invariably they'll say something and I'm looking at their phone because I do everything through my phone, and I'm like stare and like I stop when I'm painting, and meanwhile the paint is drying on my brush, and the next thing you know, I have a brush that doesn't work because I was looking at the screen too long. So I get having stuff in the background. I understand that, but that's cool. Thanks for hanging out with me, and always appreciated. Okay, so that's about as white as I'm going to go with him. It's hard to get this in focus. Okay, now we're going to do his, what I like to call the dicky, the little coif. that's around his neck, which is just give him a little bit of color. And we'll keep a little red. We're gonna do keep the little red white motif going for some of these guys here to kind of tie them in. Okay. Let's see. Depends what level you want to paint to. I can't paint quick. I can't dip and stuff like that. Now I've played with armies that other people's armies that didn't look very good, and I had just as much fun. So it has nothing to do with that. But you know, if I'm going to go through the effort of doing something, I'd like to kind of think that I'm doing it as good as I can. But it takes a while. But the best thing you could do is just paint frequently, even if it's only for half an hour each day. Paint every day. It feels good when you're done. It's kind of like working out. Nobody wants to. Well, some people probably do, but you know, it's when you're done. You're like, oh, I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I got some exercise. You know, after you're done. I came home and felt like I needed to paint, not work out. So, and then we'll probably do flesh. I know a lot of people when they paint, they do you got to paint from the inside out, and I just kind of just roll with it. I don't have a necessary an order to do it in. I can reach anything I can see, so the order isn't really an issue. It's more like for completeness. Like, okay, I want to put the face on it now, so I can, you know, so this figure starts to come to life a little bit more. So I don't really have a set way of order to do it. You just have to make sure that you prime the figure before you do any of the painting, and that you seal the figure last. It doesn't do any good to seal at the beginning and then prime over the sealing, you know. Those important steps are important. The rest of it is, you know, pretty much irrelevant. What order you do them in. All right, let's see what we've got here. That one's kind of big. Man, this thing's a big old mess. Those Russian tanks make a big mess. I always call them Russian tanks. I have a hard time calling them Soviet tanks. Just like I don't call them Nazi tanks. I call them German tanks. Regardless of the people in there or party members or not. Let's see here. This guy, man, this thing is out of control. Land of the cheapo brushes, and this thing has a long flyaway. All right, now we can do that. Now we can use it for what we need to do. How's the little decal thing going on here? Is this thing dry out yet? It's a little shiny. Well, we're going to seal it with flat over it. There it is, just a little pop of color. Oh. I always do the basing and paint the base first. Wow. Good for you. I don't think I can. Yeah, the main thing is do whatever it does, whatever you need to do to stay on track. So, do I have house rules in DBA? I do not. I do not want to go there. I do not want to develop any bad habits. That then when you go to a show, you end up playing by them. Even though there may not be a show for a very long time, a tremendously long time. But I don't want to get in the habit of that. I'd just assume make my own rules if I was going to do that. So, and I really don't have an interest in the rules. Get me to play the game. Playing the game gets me to paint more figures. That's really what I'm here for. Is paint more figures. All right, let's get. Let me get my mix here. Boy, I really can't see anything 2 feet away without my glasses or my contacts in. But now I'm over 45, so now I can't see things if they're too close, which is really weird. I've mentioned this before, for somebody who's been nearsighted their whole life to not be able to see things because they're too close to your eye. It's very strange. It's really odd on your psyche. All right. My mother is my sister. Okay. As long as that's legal in your country, go right ahead. Ah, it's all good. Love it. Creative. Sounds like the title of some video on Pornhub. My mother is my sister. And if you don't know what that is, well, good for you. Oh, man. Happy Friday. All right, we're going to put this dark shade. Sorry, this is kind of messy. Normally I have a lot less paint than this on here. But we're going to go ahead and paint everything that is fleshy on him in this dark shade. And that's what we're going to leave that in the shadows. Are those stars? Here, the one on the, that one is. Focus. There we go. That one is. Little commie stars. We'll finish this guy up and then maybe we'll do the other, decal, the other vehicles. We got a BT7 to do and a BA6 armored car. Just try to mix it up, you know? Because what happens is I get tired of painting this. So instead of just saying, well, I don't want to paint anymore, I just mix it up by just painting something different and all is good, you know? Because ultimately, at least for me, I find the painting part very satisfying. It's relaxing, it's therapeutic. So, all right, and then we're going to go up a little bit and then we're going to hit the highlight part. Now, this guy has detail, but it's very faint because this is an old school figure. I'm not sure how old these castings are, but I'm going to say they're probably in the 80s, 1980s sometime. And I happen to like the style that the minifigs are done in, but I also love mixing manufacturers in an army. And I believe this is a Hussite figure, a Hussite handgunner. Well, what happened is the Hussites, after they got defeated or made a peace treaty, or I don't exactly know the exact story, but anyways, they did not beat the Imperials, but they lent themselves out to be mercenaries, and a lot of them were ex-Hussites, were employed in the Hungarian army by the were hired by the Hunyatis. So this happens to be one of those guys. That's his backstory. I don't know what his name is yet, but that's what he did for a living. What World War II rules are you going to use? Probably the face of battle. I'd pull them out, but they're massive. They're not made anymore, and they're really anal retentive. So if you don't enjoy um, counting the rivets on tank treads, they're probably not for you. But I'm that's what I require for satisfaction in the Second World War. Otherwise, I'm just assume not play it. It's the opposite end of DBA. Let's put it that way. So it's not abstract at all, and it's very straightforward, but it moves very slow. So, but that's okay. We got a place to set things up, and the boys have been wanting to do some World War II stuff, and I'm not necessarily painting this stuff for a game. It's just I've had them for 25 years, and I kind of wanted to mix it up, and I wanted to try doing some vehicles with the painting skills I've acquired in the last 20 years to see what I can do with them, and without an airbrush, because I'm not going to buy one of those because I don't need the frustration. You know, I don't need the frustration. So there's some wizards out there with the airbrush, and to be honest with you, the airbrush, the stuff that I've seen airbrushed, unless you're going to use it for putting down the first coat, I don't really like the style that they're done in. It doesn't match my figures. It's a little bit too realistic. There's some painting wizards out there, and I'm not poo-pooing their work. I'm just saying that their vehicles actually look better than a real vehicle. It's pretty amazing, but I don't think that that translates well when you're using figures, because I think the figures, at least my painting style is kind of like they look kind of like a graphic novel, like something you would see like in a comic book, and in a finely detailed one. And I want vehicles that kind of match that same look. I don't know if that makes any sense, but a lot of the people that are doing like really good vehicles, they'll use the powders and the extra rust and all this tiny streaking. And I'm not saying I'm not going to do some of that stuff, but they do it to the extreme where it loses almost the black lining that a vehicle may have, that it all kind of blurs together. So it looks extremely realistic, but then the figures still look like wargaming figures. And I'd like them to both have the same kind of look. I don't know if I explained myself correctly, but anyhow, and that's also my excuse not to get an airbrush. I don't want to spend a couple $100 and then, and then be frustrated cleaning it and stuff like that. I've used one before, and just never liked that part of the aspect of it. I've got to be in the garage. I live in Florida, so it's hot in the garage most of the time. I'm in hot all the time at work. I don't want to do that on my free time. So anyhow, that's my long-winded explanation of why I do what I do. But okay, then we're gonna go to this with this, and I'm taking longer than I normally would, but I'm it's the interaction, and that's okay. I welcome it. It's kept me on track. That sound you're hearing is my daughter and a friend that came over, so they are hanging out in the living room. So a couple teenage girls, honestly quiet. I'm honestly surprised they're as quiet as they are. And no, my daughter does not play war games. She does not like gamers. She thinks they're weird, and I'm not going to argue with her. Sorry, folks. There's always at least one weird person in every game group, and if you think your group doesn't have one, it's you. You're the one. No, and by weird, I mean, somebody who doesn't, you know, proper hygiene. That's just never, that's, there's no reason for that. I mean, I got to take a shower every day. I came home from work. I really didn't even go outside much today and still took a shower. I don't want to have anything to do with that. So I'll do a rules review there on the Face of Battle, but I've got to play it again to remember how it is. I know that it wasn't really confusing. So the way it happened is we were actually coming up with our own rules back in the late '90s, and we just weren't getting anywhere because my local player at the time was somebody who was in the service. So they were here 1 year and then gone the next. So it was very hard to get an opponent that was around most of the time. So one of the times that he left, I came across the Face of Battle. Probably found out about it on the miniatures page or something like that. Back in the days of the miniatures page when I would go there, and bought it and was surprised how similar it was to some of the things that we were doing. It was percentile based, which I've always played percentile based rules prior to DBA, and that's kind of what I like. And it was really similar. The main difference between what we were doing and those rules was that when we were talking about individual rifle fire, we would roll a percentile to hit the target, and then the effect would be something different, a different roll. And this one kind of combines both of them in the same die roll. It combines whether you have to reload or you miss the target or you have an effect. So, Australian Greg. Hi, Tony. Good morning. Just checking in for a short time before having to get on with things. I'll check out the full video later today. Get on with things. You don't have anything to get on with. You're retired. You can be doing everything you need to do and nothing at the same time. No, I get it about getting things done. It's good to get things done. Doing any World War II stuff tonight? I am. So, oh, got your World War II juices going, huh? So I got the decals that came in yesterday, and we put the first little decal there on this little Gaz 67B Jeep. I was mentioning earlier, I'm not sure if it's a Gaz or GAZ. I've always called it a Gaz, but I know sometimes things that are abbreviated, you don't call them like that. You actually say the letters out individually, like that Commonwealth rifle, right arm of the free world. It's an FAL, not a FAL. So I don't know if I don't know if it's supposed to be a Gaz or a GAZ, but I've always called it a Gaz. I may have been saying it wrong all the time. So, anywho. So yeah, we've got some other decals to do on that, but I want to get this little handgunner complete, and then do that. So, but really not in a hurry to play World War II because it's a big commitment. It's a big commitment of time, and I've got to learn the rules again. And right now, I'm just enjoying painting these poor bastards that I've had for a long time. I never did anything with. And hold on 1 second. Yes, I'm being summoned. I will be right back. The summoner. Okay, well, we're going to have to shut this session down. The reason why is because I've actually encountered this problem while filming. I end up getting into copyright issues if, like, let's say there's this is a true story. So I got about like 5 more minutes, but true story. If something else is going on in your house and like a theme song of a show is being played, the YouTube filter will pick it up, and all of a sudden, I actually had this happen to me. Like, we can't have this video because you have a copyright restriction for using music, and I'm like, but it was like a painting video. Like, well, there's no music. Well, it ended up picking up the theme song of a show that the girls were watching the other room over, which I couldn't even hear here, and got into a copyright issue with that. And they're getting ready to play a video game called Rock Band, and of course, it involves making loud music and like beating on plastic things. So we will cut this one off. We'll probably be on later. It is 7:10 here Eastern Standard Time, or what is that? Greenwich -5. Maybe it's -4 or -6. I forget when it's you have that daylight saving that throws everything off. We're normally -5. But anyhow, we will be on later, and I'm going to probably continue working on some stuff, just not while it's being filmed, because I don't want to get into problems with the law, with the YouTube gods. But we'll be back on later and do a little bit more gaming, have something else to talk about. Maybe we talk some World War II stuff as well. And anyways, thanks for joining me, and we will be back later. You assume crew for the War Wagon? No, it is not. It is they're actually just separate handgunners. They're Saloy stands. So, but anyhow, we will be back. Thanks for joining me, and happy painting. Bye bye.